Today what I'm doing is moving the compost heap over from bay number 1 into bay number 2. Now the reason for this is to increase the amount of decomposition and of course to mix it all up, because the last thing you want is layers of, for example, grass and then layers of maybe leaves or shredded hedges, that sort of thing. So today we're going to be using the Massey Ferguson 1525 with the MX front loader with the grapple. Last time I didn't use the grapple and it really did make a difference. It really is a very useful thing to have on the top of the bucket. So I think really the best thing for me to do is just to keep talking all the way through this so that you're not just sitting here watching the same repetitive job. Now, because obviously I'm doing this all in one go, I wasn't going to really faff about moving the cameras about, although there is a screen, there is a camera change once I think. So yeah, what I'm doing here is taking the freshest layer off the top first. Two reasons for this. One is to put it to the bottom, but also if you start digging up from the bottom it's just going to all tumble down anyway and make a mess. So I like to start from the top and work my way down. And actually, if the compost has decomposed quite a bit, what we get left with at the bottom of the heap which we're moving could potentially be compost which is ready. So we'll see what it's like. I wouldn't have thought it's ready because it's only about 2 months old, and compost usually takes between half a year and well, up to a couple of years to be fully ready to be used on flower beds or wherever you want to use it. So yeah, I mean the stuff at the bottom of this is pretty much all grass, but it is mixed in with a few chippings. I think it's hawthorn, and also basically just various bits of foliage which have been thrown on there. Now the top of the pile is pretty much all chopped up hawthorn hedges and some grass. The ideal mix is about 50% of each. So you want some woody stuff in there, you want bits of chopped up branches, 50%, and you want about 50% of mowed grass or any kind of green foliage which has been put in there. If you have the wrong mix, it'll tend to be a bit slimy. That's if you've got too much grass. Usually if you've got too much of the woody stuff, it's a bit too dry. So there is a fine balance between it. I'm not saying that grass doesn't work, because actually in the past I have created a pile just from grass, 100% mowed grass, and eventually it does turn into some fairly decent stuff. But it does take a long time. It goes through the slimy stage first, really smelly, but I'd say about 2 years. You've got some fairly decent mulch by the end of it. But it's a long-winded process. It's not really that good anyway. It's better to just mix it up and keep turning it. The more you turn it, the better it'll be, and the faster it'll be ready. I turn this about every 2 weeks, and it seems to do a pretty good job. I think if I didn't turn it every 2 weeks, it would start to get very dry on the inside. It would also start to, well, it would lose the heat, and also it just wouldn't be that good. It would also take much longer to get ready. Just moving on to the front loader now. This obviously is the ideal size tractor for this sort of thing. The bays where I'm going into are the perfect width. However, with them being wire and post, the post being a bit rotten, they're not ideal. The posts actually keep falling down, some of them, so I have to keep propping them up with forks. But yeah, I mean, on the whole, the bays are okay. Now again, this isn't obviously the only use this tractor has. It actually has quite a lot of use. In different areas it does all sorts of stuff. It really is a multi-purpose tractor, but since I have the tractor, I can't really see, except for the fact that you would get fitter, I can't really see the point in throwing this over from one bay to the other with a fork when you can just use the tractor. It takes about 10 minutes to do, which I think is very impressive. I mean, if I was doing it by hand, it would probably take over an hour. In fact, it would do, and I'd probably end up with a fairly painful back. So, I mean, it just depends what kind of person you are, whether you want to have it easy and get it done fast, or if you want to just spend all day at it. But I do prefer to get the job done and move on to something else, especially if you have a very busy life. Now, you see here at the moment I've got the bucket tilted down with the grab across the bay. That is the reason why I do that is due to the wire. Like I say, the ideal backing or entire surround for a compost bin or compost bay is really wood, solid wood or concrete. And yeah, the wire, if you were to close the grapple down with it right at the back, the grapple would just basically pull the wire out. So that's why I have to sort of tilt the bucket down in that strange way. Anyway, it is now done, everything is moved across, and you can see the sort of stuff that we're dealing with here. You can see the layers, and basically at the bottom this stuff is a maximum of 2 months old. Mowed grass it is, and I'm actually amazed. I can't believe how far through its decomposition phase it is. Very impressive. That's going to be ready very soon. So I'm hopefully going to keep you up to date with how the compost is going. Obviously it's not the most interesting topic ever, but it is quite fascinating how you can make just some mowed grass turn into some very usable and very healthy mulch. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found it interesting, or maybe it's inspired you to do your own compost heap. But there's a lot to be said for it. Anyway, until next time, see you again soon. Bye for now.